Hi everyone, Nadine Wellwood, your candidate for the People's Party of Canada. Happy Thanksgiving. So we're just getting ready to head out for just a few hours of door knocking today in Airdrie. But before I did, I wanted to say we have so much in Canada to be thankful for. And I wanted to thank all of you, all of my supporters, and all of my volunteers. We're going to go out for a couple of hours and then we're back for a nice big dinner with our family and friends. So I've been getting asked the question about what happens on October 22nd, and a big part of that question formulates around whether or not Alberta will separate. I'm a Canadian and I'm a proud Canadian, and that is certainly something that I wish we didn't even have to entertain, but it is a very real possibility right now in Alberta. People are very unhappy with the situation. Confederation hasn't exactly treated us very fairly. And I honestly believe that it doesn't need to come to that. People are concerned that we don't have a voice in Ottawa, but we can change that October 21st. We can actually put representatives from this province into Ottawa that will be our voice. And that can be my voice. My voice is your voice, and it is a voice that is for Alberta. The threat of separation is very real in this province. I've gone to numerous stores and I'd probably have to say 20–25% are pretty much just fed up. They're tired. And for me, it's about, let's try this first. Let's give the PPC a try. Give me a chance to be that voice in Ottawa, and then we'll go from there on October 22nd. The debates have been interesting. So I have had people call me and ask me or email me, and with really great feedback on the debates. I think arguably we've done probably the best in most of the debates, and I think the message definitely resonates with most Albertans in particular. The interesting thing is there's one party in particular, the NDP, and the candidate continually tries to either personally attack me or bring up issues around racism or white supremacist. I just want to point out, I am the only person in the debates on that stage that is not white. I am Aboriginal, and so for the NDP to sit up there and attack me, I'm sitting here and going, I'm not sure who she's trying to call out as the racist, because it comes across to me, being the only non-white person on the stage, that maybe the NDP has an ulterior motive here. I think everybody has been very respectful of each other. I think we understand that this is a tough job and a rather thankless one, regardless of which party you represent. And we have all displayed a very high level of mutual respect for everyone. I would say with the exception of the one NDP candidate. But I think the issues have been going well, and I think we have presented very strong arguments, even in our environmental debate, where it was only the Green, the NDP, and myself that showed up. But it was, again, common sense, I think, and logic, data. We have to build policies based upon good data. That's what government is about. The door knocking has been going really well, and for me, the reception has been very warm. We have had, interestingly enough, I've had a lot of people who I've gone up to Richard signs on the lawns and went, "Hi, I'm your candidate for the People's Party," and they're like, "We didn't put that sign there. They didn't ask for that sign." So it's been interesting. I'm really curious to see what the results will be on October 21st, because we have a tremendous amount of support. I'd say about every fourth or fifth door that I'm talking to are, "Go away, Nadine, you've already got my vote." And considering we had 30% that didn't vote, considering we have votes that are Liberal, and I've had many Liberals actually tell me, "Nadine, yes, you've got my vote," I think we are in a really good position, and I'm convinced that we will win this election in this riding. So splitting the vote. People are still asking about, I don't want to split the vote. Ezra Levant, actually from the Rebel Media, did a very good news clip that addresses splitting the vote as well. In Alberta, especially the ridings where there is no risk of splitting the vote. Banff-Airdrie, Red Deer, there is no risk of splitting the vote in these ridings. So we are very fortunate in the fact that we can vote our conscience and vote for the government, the individual candidate that we want. We need a candidate that is going to stand up and represent Albertans' voices, one that will not be silenced by a party that favors and panders to Quebec and Ontario. So we are very fortunate in the standpoint that this has never been a Liberal riding. The numbers of Liberal, NDP, Green are so low, there is no way possible of splitting that vote. So we can take that off the table altogether, and I encourage everybody to know who you're voting for. Let's take a look at the resumes of each of the candidates. Let's take a look at what each brings to bear in Ottawa, and the fact that I am a vote that has to be earned. I am not a vote that is owned. Let's talk a little bit about pipelines and the energy corridor. I have people that are still convinced that Mr. Scheer is going to build pipelines in this province. And I honestly wish that were true. If I thought that were true, I wouldn't be standing here today. It's not true. Mr. Scheer had every opportunity, even in the national leaders debate, to commit to using Section 9210 of the Constitution that would impose these pipelines, make them a matter of national interest, and get them built. He refused to do that. And when he was asked about his energy corridor, which would take consultation, that's 8 to 10 years. What does Alberta do in the next 8 to 10 years while he continues to consult with the provinces, trying to convince them of an energy corridor? We don't have that kind of time. We need, the year to maybe 18 months that it would take to actually impose this using the Constitution to get shovels in the ground in this province. So energy corridor is not going to do anything for Alberta in a timely enough fashion that's going to make a difference. Balancing the budget. I think it is fiscally irresponsible for any government right now to be spending more money. Recessions run in cycles. The last recession we had was in 2008. If we look at the cyclical nature of recessions, there is one around the corner. We don't know when, but it is around the corner. We need to get our fiscal affairs back in order. Deficits today are taxes tomorrow. And politicians buying votes, buying favors with your tax dollars, this is irresponsible. The People's Party of Canada is the only party that will first and foremost balance the budget in 2 years. Once we have balanced the budget, then we can reduce taxes. You don't have to go camping. You don't have to have EI benefits and maternity and a one-time benefit. How about we reduce taxes equally and fairly for everybody? And it's not just a matter of reducing taxes. It's also about simplifying the process. Our very first Income Tax Act, the War Measures Act in Canada, was 45 pages long. Something has gone drastically wrong. We have accountants in this country that are saying things are too complicated. We need to simplify them. It gets as simple as this. The first $15,000 is tax-free. Personal exemption, it's yours to keep. That helps our seniors. That helps our youth save for their education. That helps everybody. Then the next $85,000 to $100,000, let's talk about a flat 15% tax. Again, for the average Albertan, that is going to put almost $2,000 back in your pocket for you to spend however you need. If you have children, you want to send them to Taekwondo, wonderful. But if putting food on the table is a bigger priority for you and your children are happy to go play in the park, that's your decision to make. The People's Party of Canada is about reducing government. Let's get regulation out of the way. Let's stimulate our small businesses and growth. Let's reduce taxes. These are all things that help every Canadian. People struggling today on a daily basis, and I think if without pipelines, we're going to see more of that in Alberta. And unfortunately, I think if we see more of that in Alberta, we are going to see more and more pressure on this government to demand a real solution, which for many people today, I believe they see that solution as separation. We need to make life more affordable in this country. One of the things we want to do is supply management. Why are we paying twice as much for dairy, eggs, poultry to appease 19,000 producers at the expense of 37 million Canadians? It's wrong. We're the only province, we're the only country in the world that still has these type of protectionist measures in place. And we have to end that. We need to allow people to compete freely in a free market. Equalization. Almost $5,200 for every man, woman, and child leaves this province, goes to Ottawa, the majority of which goes to Quebec, who currently they enjoy a surplus while we are in a deficit. Why are we the only party that is talking about this? Why are we the only party that somehow seems to think that this is unfair? We need to address this issue and we need to change the formula. It needs to be fair for everybody. We also need to provide incentives for each of the provinces to develop their own resources. And I'm going, the only way we're going to do that is to get them off the dependency of programs like Equalization. We're the only party that seems to think that there's enough data to continue to have the debate on climate change. But at the same time, before we shut down Canada, turn it into a national park and destroy our economy, we'd like to have the conversation. 500 scientists from Clintel have sent a registered letter to the UN stating about their fear-mongering and that climate change, yes, climate is always changing, but that the human impact on that is not necessarily the cause or the main driver of that change. UN Paris Accord. People have said, what's so wrong with remaining a part of the UN Paris Accord? Would that not be a good thing to do? Here's my response. When you have nothing to lose, of course, why not sign up to the UN Paris Accord? China, the largest polluter in the world, has no commitment, zero targets in order to reduce CO2 emissions. Why would they not sign up to the UN Paris Accord? Sure, they have nothing to lose. India, again, represents about 7% of the CO2 emissions, but they're a developing nation. And of course they're going to add pollution. They're a developing nation. The best thing we can do if we want to honestly take a look at fighting climate change is to get cleaner sources of energy to China, cleaner sources of energy to India. That can come from Canada. Our oil and gas sector is some of the most green options we have currently today that could be used immediately, not take 5 years to develop greener energy, but immediately. LNG, ethically produced from a country that is committed to the betterment of the climate. Let's start there. I think it's absolutely irresponsible for us to be importing oil from countries that are some of the worst human rights violators and have the least amount of environmental standards. Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Iran, Iraq. Why? When we have our own supply of oil and gas in this province, why are we not supporting our own people, Canadians, from across this province and using the resources that we have to the betterment of all of us? Shame on us for doing that. The PPC is committed to seeing energy independence. We know we have the resources right here in this province, and we are going to build pipelines, we are going to use the Constitution, and we are going to support Albertans in particular, but for the interests of all Canadians, and let's get a pipeline built from west to east. I have had so many people write me, email me with concerns about being censored, not being allowed to speak their beliefs, not being allowed to share an opinion. And I don't want to provide divisiveness in saying this, but many of them today are Christians. And Christians are, I believe, just like conservativeness and conservative ideas and principles are a little bit under attack. They have beliefs and they are afraid to share those beliefs, and many of them are afraid they're going to risk at least their ability to present their arguments and have the conversation amongst people. Freedom of expression has been the #1 issue for me. We have our political leaders that are omitting, censoring, filtering data. We have political leaders that have chosen to purposefully not allow reporters into the room that share a difference of opinion to them. People, we live in Canada. Canada is a free society, and the foundation of any free society is our freedom to express and have our own views and beliefs and ideas, and to be able to openly debate those. We have less than a week left in this election. This is a very critical election. I encourage all of you to get out and to vote. You cannot split the vote in this province, so vote your conscience. Vote for the government that you want. Vote for the government that will not silence its MP. Vote for the government that gives you a voice at the table. Vote for the government that will not pander to Quebec and Ontario at Alberta's expense. That is a vote for me. So please, please get out this October and vote for what you want. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please, if you like this video, share it with your friends and be sure to hit the like button. And don't forget to hit sign up for the notifications. Thank you and have a great day.